Lee Marvin names the 7 actors he hates most. Lee Marvin was born on February 19, 1924, in New York City. Marvin grew up in a family where military service was important. His dad fought in World War I, and his brother would serve in the military too. Growing up around this tough, no-nonsense attitude shaped the tough guy image that would make him famous later on. He went to schools in Florida and New Jersey, but he was a troublemaker who often got in trouble and had a hard time following strict school rules. His early years showed signs of the rebel attitude and raw toughness that he would later use in his movie roles. Marvin's life changed completely when World War II started, and he joined the U.S. Marine Corps when he was 18 years old. He served with the 4th Marine Division in the Pacific and saw terrible fighting in the Battle of Saipan in 1944, where he got badly hurt by machine gun fire. He was shot in the butt and sciatic nerve and spent over a year getting better in a Navy hospital. He was given the Purple Heart Medal. These war experiences left him hurt both in his body and his mind, but also made him seem real when he played soldiers, outlaws, and tough guys in movies. Unlike many actors who only pretended to be war heroes, Marvin actually lived through the horrors of real fighting, which made his acting feel real in a way that audiences could sense. After the war, Marvin did different odd jobs before ending up working as a plumber's helper at a community theater, almost by accident. He was asked to fill in for a small role when another actor got sick, and doing this made him interested in acting. People encouraged him, so he started training in New York. Studying at the American Theater Wing, his unusual height, rough looks, and natural intensity made him stand out, and he soon moved from stage work to movies and TV. Marvin's early Hollywood career was mostly supporting roles as bad guys, villains, and soldiers, often in Western and war movies. His big break came in the 1950s with strong supporting roles in movies like The Big Heat in 1953, where he played a scary gangster, and Bad Day at Black Rock in 1955, where his threatening presence made the movie more suspenseful. Throughout that decade, he became one of the most dependable bad guys in Hollywood, bringing toughness and menace to every role. The 1960s, however, was when he changed from a supporting actor to a major star. Marvin starred in movies that showed how versatile he was. In John Ford's The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance in 1962, he played the evil outlaw Liberty Valance opposite John Wayne and James Stewart, creating one of the most memorable villains in Western movies. He also showed a funnier side in Cat Ballou in 1965, where he amazed audiences by playing 2 different roles, both the drunk gunfighter Kid Shellin and the bad guy Tim Strawn. His funny yet touching performance won him the Academy Award for Best Actor, making him one of Hollywood's top stars. After this big win, Marvin became one of the most popular leading men of that time. He starred in The Dirty Dozen in 1967, a big war movie with many stars that became a huge hit at the box office and is still one of his most famous movies. His powerful performance as Major John Reisman, who had to lead a group of criminals on a dangerous mission, connected with audiences and influenced later war and action movies. Other great movies included Point Blank in 1967, a stylish crime thriller where he played a relentless anti-hero, and Paint Your Wagon in 1969, a musical where he surprised audiences by singing, even though his voice was rough and off-key. Despite his success, Marvin was known for being independent and refusing to follow Hollywood's rules. He didn't like the fancy parts of being a celebrity, preferring a private life of fishing, boating, and outdoor activities. He often went to his home in Tucson, Arizona, or his beloved Baja California, Mexico, where he found peace away from the movie business. Marvin was also honest about his problems with alcohol, which sometimes affected his personal and work life. In his later career, he continued to appear in movies like Emperor of the North in 1973, The Klansman in 1974, Avalanche Express in 1979, and Gorky Park in 1983. Even as he got older, Marvin brought seriousness and toughness to his roles, showing a type of masculinity that seemed increasingly rare in the changing world of Hollywood. His last movie was The Delta Force in 1986, where he worked with Chuck Norris, playing a tough military leader in one last tribute to his action hero image. Lee Marvin's personal life was as colorful and complicated as his famous career on screen. In April 1952, when his early Hollywood career was taking off, Marvin married Betty Ebling, a marriage that would last 15 years and give them 4 children. Their first child, a son named Christopher Lamont Marvin, 1952 to 2013, carried on the family name and lived a full life before dying in 2013. Along with him, the couple had 3 daughters: Courtney Lee Marvin, Cynthia Louise Marvin, and Claudia Leslie Marvin, 1958 to 2012. Each child brought happiness and responsibility to Marvin's often crazy life, balancing his demanding career as an actor with his role as a father. Even though Marvin was known publicly as a tough screen presence, his children showed a softer, more private side of him, something that friends and co-workers often said was very different from his hard-edged movie characters. Despite having a family foundation, the marriage between Lee and Betty had its problems. The pressures of Hollywood life, Marvin's heavy drinking, and his unpredictable behavior created stress that eventually became too much to handle. After being separated for 2 years, the couple's marriage officially ended in divorce in January 1967. The breakup was painful not only for Marvin and Betty, but also for their children, who grew up caught between the spotlight of Hollywood and the reality of family problems. Many years later, in 2010, Betty shared her own side of their marriage in her honest memoir Tales of a Hollywood Housewife, a memoir by the first Mrs. Lee Marvin. In the book, she told about her experiences as the wife of a rising movie star, showing both the glamour and the hardships of being married to a man whose career demanded constant attention. Betty even claimed that Marvin had cheated during their marriage, saying that he had an affair with famous actress Anne Bancroft, a revelation that added another layer of drama to the already complicated story of Marvin's personal life. After his divorce, Marvin's love life continued to get public attention, especially with his long-term and very public relationship with Michelle Triola, a woman who became important not only to his personal story, but also to American legal history. Their relationship ended in one of the most famous palimony lawsuits of the 1970s, a case that tested the rules of live-together relationships and made headlines across the country. However, after the chaos of that relationship, Marvin found some stability and comfort when he reconnected with Pamela Feely, his childhood sweetheart. Getting back together was more than just a romantic reunion. It was a return to familiarity, comfort, and the innocence of earlier days before fame had made his life complicated. The two married in 1970, and unlike Marvin's previous relationships, this marriage lasted. Pamela stayed by his side through the good times and bad times of his later career, as well as during his declining health in the 1980s, staying with him until his death in 1987. After Marvin died, Pamela honored their relationship and her husband's memory by writing and publishing the memoir Lee, a Romance in 1997. In the book, she shared not only personal stories of their life together, but also a deeply personal portrait of the man behind the tough image. While audiences knew Marvin as the gravel-voiced anti-hero of movies like The Dirty Dozen and Point Blank, Pamela painted a picture of a more vulnerable, loving, and deeply human person. Her book became both a love letter and a proof of the lasting bond that had brought them together again after so many years apart, making sure that Lee Marvin's legacy was remembered not only in movie terms, but also in the more personal world of love, companionship, and family. Lee Marvin, the tall, gravel-voiced actor with a reputation for being tough, didn't hold back when it came to his feelings about his fellow actors. Known for being brutally honest and often cranky, Marvin once shocked Hollywood by openly admitting that there were certain actors he simply couldn't stand. When asked to name names, Marvin didn't hesitate. He rattled off a list of 7 men in the business who, for one reason or another, really annoyed him. Each name had its own history of grudges, work fights, and personality clashes that showed as much about Marvin himself as it did about those he hated. John Wayne. Although many fans thought Marvin admired Wayne because they had both built careers on war movies and westerns, Marvin privately disliked him. The two clashed during the filming of The Comancheros and later during their Academy Award competition. Marvin, who had fought in World War II and been wounded in combat, was angry about Wayne's carefully created image as a war hero when, in reality, Wayne had never served in the military. He reportedly said Wayne played soldier better than anyone, but couldn't handle the mud, blood, or bullets. Marvin also disliked Wayne's political views, thinking he was too strictly conservative, and the tension between them lasted until Marvin died. Charles Bronson. Marvin often described Charles Bronson as too cold and too full of himself. They worked in similar types of movies, tough action films, But Marvin thought Bronson had no range and relied too much on his physical presence rather than emotional acting ability. He also accused Bronson of being unfriendly and